Hello everyone, and welcome to Pax Aria Gaming. My name is Reg, your guide along the way, and we start Chapter 4 today. In this entrance area to Chapter 4, there are only a few enemies here, but they're different enemy types than the ones we've faced so far. There are some beetle enemies, some lantern-carrying enemies that are not like the lantern guys in the Pagoda Realm. These are the lantern guys. And there are plenty of wisps in this area as well. May as well collect them all. There are a couple of chests scattered around as well. And there's, as you can guess, since the name of some of these areas will give it away, there are plenty of spider enemies in here as well. It's a fairly long chapter. Those are little spiders. It's as long as Chapter 3. I don't think it's longer, but it is at least as long as Chapter 3. And as always, we collect all the plants. Let's grab, well, I was going to grab the wisp, but since Baji jumped out and started fighting, I guess I'll go help him out. Okay, I think we're going to end up in the same place if we... Let's get this guy first. I was going to say if we loop around, but let's... We're just searching around the area to see if we've forgotten anything. Of course. Still haven't figured out a way to determine which ones of these are actually plants and which ones aren't. Not a ton of enemies, just different from the ones we faced so far. These are the beetle enemies. And we hadn't seen this enemy type before, but there are plenty of them in this chapter. Probably a couple more of those in this area. It's a relatively short area. Another wisp. These are the other enemy types that you'll see in this area. They usually hide in the trees, and you can sometimes spot them, although they're very difficult to spot. You check everything because some of these buildings, other than wisps, are little treasure chests and things like that. Then we work our way towards the entrance to, I don't know whether this is the entrance to the village or whether or not, well, later on. I guess this is really part of the village. Not overwhelming with enemies. What about those beetle guys? And there's a lantern guy ahead. Let's just check over here. Grab this wisp. So you won't see the little spiders either until they start attacking you. I think they come out of the ground. I don't think that you would see them before you move into that particular area. These plant guys. Yeah, they're much tougher in the first playthrough than they are in playthroughs 2 or 3. This little guy's just strolling along. Doesn't seem to hear anything going on. So let's punish him for not paying attention. There's another chest over here. And lots of spiders. I guess these are spiders. They're really little. They don't... I guess they can overwhelm you. Maybe in the first playthrough they can actually kill you, but I think if you just swing in any direction, you'll kill some of them. We're getting close to the shrine for this little section. We take this guy out. Guess he's protecting the shrine. And there's one guy left. Okay, and that's the end of this area. I mean, you have the shrine, and then it will lead to the entrance to the next area of this. This is not even the main... yeah, you haven't even gotten to the main part of this chapter, so call this the sort of outer area of chapter 4. If you do everything right and you come back to this area, it will look very different the second time you come through here. I mean, there's no real reason to come back, but if you go back, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
好急，让叔叔也帮你一帮。二位元老，里头正排筵席，快请进来饮几杯薄酒吧。
Baji thought it was best for us to be disguised as we went in. Not quite sure why one of his exes lives here. Maybe that's why he wanted to be disguised. I'm not quite sure.
Yo, 二位贵客，怎来的这般迟？你们家夫人这次又没来吗？
夫人碍于身份，不便在下界露面。但她心里一直记挂着各位，特差小的送来这份薄礼。夫人说了，盼仙姑早日康复，早日上天一续。
She has a bunch of daughters.
夫人未来，实是可惜。我们可是备了一出好戏要唱，专意等了这许久嘞。而今礼被偷了。人被杀了，不如拿你两个顶缸吧。
我们不过是办事的下人，奶奶这是扯什么笑话呀？
猪八戒，我知你生的丑，怕见人，但也不用要，顶着另一张猪脸哄我母亲吧。
没眼色。我老朱一心上佛，你母亲也不知哪位，且得等着。
好薄情的人，当年你在这岭上杀人放火，毁他清誉，如今却都不记得了。
清誉，都做野妖精了，还有脸提什么清誉？我说呢，原来你就是那蜘蛛精的小辈。罢了罢了，叫我一声好叔叔，老朱给你几分面子，去那破洞里见见故人。
你乐意去也好，不乐意去也罢，可不由你了。
This is the first spider mini boss. Like I said, we're going to be dealing with quite a few spiders through this chapter of the game. And then this is the most vertical chapter of the game as well. This outer area is not. It's a sort of a entry point to the main area of chapter 4. And it's probably the most non-vertical part of the chapter. Also the least confusing part of the chapter in terms of navigating your way around. There are lots of side paths and things like that. It makes it very easy to get lost. Yeah, she's no match for us.
这些昆虫，披了人皮，穿了人衣，也只会这等阴损勾当。
是，哪比得上你天蓬元帅光明正大？那一位的尸身，我估摸着还没凉透呢。你这就又找了只仙猴子拜做师兄了？
放你娘的屁！叫你母亲早早出来求饶，说是我念你年少无知，留你一条贱命。
实话与你说，东西就在盘丝洞里。若是怕了，就赶紧逃吧。
你儿子便怕！这破洞，今日我一次给他筑平，看你们有我再去哪里藏。
Your mother has a bone to pick with Bashi. With good reason. So let's just check out this, and there are a couple of things in here we can grab. It's always worth checking around the place. Again, I think that once you get into the new game pluses and stuff like that, most of what you find will be will or plants, things like that. But you really won't find a lot of things that will help your stats, because you already have everything that can help your stats. In this playthrough, I'm pretty close to maxing everything out, actually. The only things left are some of the transformations and the Bane resistances. And by the time you guys see this video, I'll be in the beginning of Chapter 6, and I may have maxed everything out by then, I'm not sure. Probably saying, why are you using a pluck of mini for these guys? Well, I think game science plans for us to use them. Right, that's why they gave it to us. And I know I'm not going to face another major enemy before we get to the next next shrine. Just checking around. Okay, looks like I have everything. Not everything. One plant. And this item, which is probably just going to give me wool. Yeah. And so with this, we've cleared out everything in this area until we come back. Like I said, if you want to come back to see what the place looks like a little bit later in the chapter, it'll be different. And I believe there's one enemy you'll have to fight, and that enemy does drop something that's probably going to be useful, but the way forward is down this path. Hopefully there are not many arachnophobes out there, because yeah, some of those spiders are pretty gnarly. However, when you wake up, you're in a nice little apartment. You have your gear, you have some nice little tchotchkes. This is the real start of Chapter 4 in terms of navigating your way through mini bosses, shrines. I believe there are, oh my God, there are a bunch of different sections for Chapter 4. There's the upper hollow, the middle hollow, and the lower hollow. I think we're in the upper hollow. And in each of the hollows, there are probably 4 sections with their own boss. The upper hollow might be the easiest, at least this section of the upper hollow might be the easiest to navigate. I mean, you can't go to the left, so you can only go in one direction, as towards the right. There is a drop down, but you might want to clear the upper area before you drop down. It's actually a fun chapter. And whereas some of the chapters are a little bit more generous with the shrines, this one probably a little less so, because when you can always warp back to the shrine, but when you do that, you have to sort of make your way past all those enemies again to get back to where you were, and there are a lot of enemies in some of the sections. So I'm not sure. I guess it depends on how much of your resources you've used as to whether you want to do that or not. I tried not to do that, or at least to get to the next shrine, because if I unlock it and I'm closest to that one, then that may be easiest. But in some cases, with the verticality, it's just a little difficult for you to be able to get back to the point where you were, especially if you have to jump off of something to get down. And it's just a series of caves, tunnels, side tunnels, just lots of it, and not very well lit, which makes some of it look the same. Like, did I go through this area before or not? And you realize, no, I've been through here. And then you have to go back and like, okay. And then you start looking for markers. Taking out any enemies that you see. Which way I wanted to head in this. Before we do that, let's go to the Zodiac Village. Okay, no, let's go back to this is the estate. So this is going back to that area I mentioned before. When you come back to it, it's going to look very different. It's now brighter, less gloomy, and you have one enemy. This guy. And you can absorb his spirit. I'm pretty sure I never used him, and I had already gotten it, so it gets converted to will. That's the only reason for coming back here. To sort of show you guys what it looks like in the daytime or in this new phase. And now you never have to see this place again. You head back down to where we just were, the upper hollow. And then we can progress through the first part of the hollow. Okay, now we can progress. I think the idea of the sparks is the game does scale a little bit with new playthroughs, but I think the character sort of outscales those. That's what it feels like. Like, it doesn't scale exactly. And that may be because of the armor that you have. I mean, if you were playing with the same armor that you started with, maybe the scale will feel a little different. But since you're playing with sort of max armor, you know, that gives you various protections, and you have weapons that are the highest level weapons in the game. And even if the game scales, you still will be able to take out enemies a little bit easier than you would have in your first playthrough. I said we weren't going to go to the left. We are going to the left. Right, not a lot of enemies in this area, but there's a chance. I think there are a couple of items that we can get. These little spider thingies. Again, they can't really hurt you, but the chest won't open if any of them are nearby. Let's grab this wisp. Let's take this guy out. Let's grab this wisp. Clearing out this top area before we head further down. the Destined One needs a flashlight in this area. Wow. Few wisp, not tons of them. Again, you can use them to restore health. Not health. Restore your gourd if you've used the gourd up to this point. Let's head back to the previous shrine and work our way the other way. Okay, there's a guy that's going to pop out of that egg thingy, a cocoon, and attack you. And I don't believe anything pops out of these. Just on the other side of this rock thingy is a guy that we want to take out. And he's sort of protected by a guy across the way who's shooting arrows at you. You can see them both. You can take this guy out pretty easily. Eventually, we're going to drop down to another level, and you don't want this guy shooting at you when you're doing that. Where he came from. Now we're going to work our way around to the guy who's shooting arrows at us. And there are probably some minor enemies in this area. The drop down is through to the left. Over there. We're not going to do that yet. Actually, we're going to work our way around to that guy. And none of the enemies in this section are likely to bother you all that much in terms of being difficult. A couple more enemies like the ones we saw closest to the shrine. They don't move very fast, and I think they shoot some sort of spider webby type stuff at you. There's some more of these guys. They're annoying because they're a little bit more agile than the guys who are on the ground. Okay. Once we clear out the whole area, there are also some little alcoves that have either wisps or a chest or some item. Not all of them. I don't remember how many of them have it. Maybe one or two. So it's actually worth going in and peeking around. But once we fully clear the area, we can go back around and do the drop down. For an area this big, they're not an overwhelming number of enemies, and the ones that you do fight aren't very strong. It shouldn't give you a lot of difficulty, even in the first playthrough. Tucked away, and of course one of the spider guys was hiding on the ceiling. Finally remember to use the board before refilling it with the wisp. That was probably overkill, but hey. One of those lantern guys. We're just strolling along. Maybe contemplating his lunch break. Let's grab this. And that little view shows you a little bit about the verticality of this chapter in the game. We will be working our way down there. You know, part of the way I can figure out where I've gone is by destroying those little cocoon thingies. If they're all gone, it means I've covered the area. If they're still there, it means I haven't. grab this chest. Grab this plant, grab this item. And this is the way forward. Where, like I said, eventually we're going to end up all the way down at the bottom. This guy, and then there's a guy who's supposed to be protecting him, but not doing a very good job. He's shooting things at you, but like I said, he wasn't doing a very good job. And so let's activate this shrine. The Verdu Bridge is one of the, I guess it's really the go-between between the upper hollow and the middle hollow. So we're going to go back. Since we now have that, we can always come back there, but we're not finished with the upper hollow yet. That section that I mentioned that we needed to drop down, we're going to do that. But as always, let's take the guys who are likely to get in our way out. This guy. Okay, buddy. Alright. The guy who's hiding over here. And the guy on the other side. And then we'll come back and jump down the middle. Okay. Now we can go back. Take this little drop down. Take care of this guy. We're gonna grab that wisp. Yeah, we're gonna grab this one. And welcome to the Balsac section of the game. These are annoying to fight. They really can't hurt you, but they're in the way, and little claws will come out and start swinging at you. I guess technically you could just run in between them and get past them. But at least the first time through, I tried to kill them all. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Using the thrust stance, if you just use 2 focus points, they should die. If you use 1, they won't die. And if you just go in sort of slashing at them, it'll take a few slashes to kill them. So this may be the most efficient way to do it, is to use the 2 focus points. In different directions you can go, but like I said, getting rid of the cocoon type things or the ball sack type things gives you an idea of where you've been. So if you're trying to sort of figure out, okay, have I cleared this tunnel or not, that's the way to know. And they do connect. Some of them connect, not all of them, but this one does. There's another one in a different level of the game that wouldn't connect to this one. I just want to make sure that I'm checking corners for chests and wisps as I clear these out. See, these little swings won't really hurt you. And lo and behold, a chest. And an enemy. Alright, let's grab this. Again, if you die, I wouldn't necessarily go through trying to kill all of these again. I don't think you really need to, unless you're just looking to level up by getting sparks, so you can level things up. Generally, the way I play these games is I try to level up as much as possible. So I do the side quests. If I die, I do them all over again. It gives you more XP, which allows you to level up even better. I did that throughout Elden Ring, and I died a lot. So parts of the game where I replayed over and over and over again. And so the famous Millennia fight, I had to fight her 77 times in order to make my way through. And I would always start out working my way back down towards her and just gaining as much XP as I can and leveling up. And so each time I fought her, I was a little bit stronger than the time before. And plus I was learning her movesets. There aren't any bosses like that in this game. Actually, I'm wrong. There's one boss like that in this game. He's going to make Yellow Long look like a Cub Scout. we're working our way towards a character who we will see, I believe, 2 more times. 2 more times? 1 or 2 more times. Like I said, if you swing at him, it just seems like you use a lot of effort, and you're not going to kill him any quicker anyway. A couple of these guys hanging from the ceiling. But the main antagonist right here is the Scorpion Prince, or a Scorpion Prince. There are a few of these guys. And these are poison-based bosses, as is most of the bosses in this chapter of the game. So you won't be dealing with lightning or fire. You'll be dealing with poison. So any poison resistance items that you would like to equip, you should. Any poison resistance soaks you want to use, you probably should. There's a poison-based weapon. When combined with a particular soak, that allows you to become stronger if you're poisoned. And so the soak poisons you and your weapon, and it allows you to dish out more attack power. I tried using that for a little while, and I did use it for a little bit. And then when you get end-game weapons and end-game types of things, you stop using those kinds of things. You have a lightning-based weapon that you could use as well. It looks really cool. But it wasn't better than the end-game weapon that I'm using now. There are probably 2 end-game weapons that are the best in the game. And I chose this one because the mechanics on the other one, it's taking me too long to figure out how to invoke the particular strong attack that it does. I was doing it, but it was randomly. I was like, okay, I'm not sure what I did to sort of cause this. And I was trying to figure that out. Probably something simple that most of the people who've played this have already figured out. It looks really cool, though. But I actually like Jingo Bang. That's the weapon that I have now. I mean, when you get it to 4 focus points, it really, really, really is pretty destructive against just about any enemy. So we got a meditation point, and we have a shrine. And this is a small area of the game as well, so the only 2 things you need to do in this particular area is rest at the meditation point and then work your way towards a particular boss. And that's it for this section. And then you move on to the next section. but having a shrine is really convenient. Because if you die, you don't have to go too far. You're just coming back to this particular shrine and then working your way back towards that boss. Let's snag this wisp, but we don't need it since we just activated the shrine. And we're going to go into a little cave over here, clear out more ball sacks, and fight the boss from this particular section of Chapter 4. It's, killing these things are tedious, but, like I said, they're not going to really harm you. You may as well take advantage of getting the will from them, I mean, if game science wanted to make this more difficult, they would just have them, sort of drop from the ceiling, and then the little creatures that are inside start attacking you. But they never really do that. They just hang there. I was trying to go through and, whack multiple ones at once and see if I can make it through here faster, but it really doesn't work that way. When you destroy one, usually the one next to it will explode. So you don't have to hit each one of them individually. You hit one, and then you really end up taking out two. Yeah, so holding it for 3 focus points isn't really worth it, because you're not doing any more damage than you would do with 2. And if you do 1, you're not doing enough damage to actually kill it. So, recommendation is use 2 focus points with your thrust dance. That should do it. So now, the sole purpose for doing all of that was to get to this one here. Of course I whiffed. And I whiffed again. Wow, that's bad. Once you weaken it to a certain point, the enemy will come out of this one. All the other ones, they'll just hang there. This one, once you get to a certain point, the enemy will appear. This guy. I think you get a particular achievement for defeating him after you've knocked all of his extra arms off. I'm not sure. I just fight the guy. If he still has his arms, no problem, as long as he's dead. But you don't kill him in this fight. You fight him, and he will appear again. There's a few enemies like that. Macaque Chief is one of them that appears multiple times. There are a couple of other ones that do as well. So he still has 3 arms. So I didn't achieve that thing of taking all of his arms off, or at least all but 2. Okay, so there's nothing in here, and you can't go through any of these areas here. So you can look around and see if there's anything. I'm pretty sure there's nothing. And then we can work our way back to the shrine, and then work our way through Middle Hollow. Like I said, this was a small area. He was the only boss in this area. Other than the meditation point, I think each area has its own meditation point. But there are no other enemies in this particular area. Let's go here. Recharge our mana more than anything else. And then when we come back, we will take on the Middle Hollow section of the game. So once again, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey. Chapter 4 will likely be 4 parts. So take good care. Talk to you guys soon. This is Reg from PAX Area Gaming. Have a good one. Please like, subscribe, and more importantly, comment.